son, Nair Gibran, who is a coach and coaches me and who has been responsible for my taking on weightlifting. And of course, my weightlifter, Diane Brown, who has trained me as if I were not 72 years old. My attorney, Kervin A. Sims, and of course, my consultants and dear friends, Mario Castillo, Patricia Johnson, Barbara Dix Brown, and last but not least, my fabulous web designer, whom I don't know what I would do without, Gabriella Ruzi Muscol, and our beautiful artist, Patricia Buck. Thank you all so much.
Oh, that's just beautiful. I want to be adopted into your family. What was so interesting is that you definitely thanked Amber Sultani, our AARP Northern Virginia staff colleague. And she and I were talking, and she was saying, oh, we're going to start another year of this wonderful Tuesday Explorer series. And I said, oh, may I pitch someone to you? I haven't met her yet in person, but I know a woman who's a fabulous storyteller, and boy, does she have a story to tell. And so Amber said, let's do it. And that's why I'm so delighted that you have accepted this invitation to join us, because as you know, Denise, when I invited you, I say, I've always been admiring of people, not just women, but anybody who has a vision and then makes the vision come alive. And you have done that. So a quick question to you, because I have not met you yet in person. I only know you as a mother and grandmother through a mutual friend. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I grew up in Des Moines, Iowa, and often people ask, are there Black people in Des Moines? And the answer is yes. I am an educator by profession, and I've taught from elementary through college. My last 10 years was at Howard University, where I taught Black women in America, as well as African American history. I have also been a national diversity consultant, traveling around the country and doing diversity work with businesses and nonprofits as well. I have also been called, as they use this terminology, one has been called. And I don't know who was doing the calling, but I did answer, which meant that I went to study theology and earned my doctorate at Howard University and became an ordained minister. And I also must say that even with all the ups and downs, I love being a wife, a mother, and a grandmother. My family, they are extraordinary, and they just make me sing. And I think the combination of all those things put together has brought me where I am right here, right now. And I've always had a prayer to the good Lord to use me for the highest good and the greatest purpose. And I think this is it.
Wow, that is so deep, because this leads me to exactly why we're together today. I have always said that a new year begins with a new me, right? And so when I heard that you have this vision and that you have this community forming concept, 70 forever, how did that come about, please, Denise?
Well, there's a long story and a short story, so I'll give you the short version. The short version is that I've always been interested in health and health and wellness. And so my freshman year, I became a vegetarian, and I started jogging every day, and I was really into the health mode, as if you will. And I learned very quickly that just because one is a vegetarian and calls himself eating healthily does not automatically make one healthy. That was proof when my menopausal years came upon me. And anybody who's experienced menopause, everybody has different kinds of experiences, but mine was eating. And did I eat? And not only did I eat, I ate the wrong things like candy and potato chips every day, which consequently I gained over 50 pounds. As a result of that, I was not pleased with the way I looked or felt. And being conscious about health always, I knew I wanted to make a transition. And my son, the coach, knew that I was interested in weight training, and he bought me a ticket to a weight training performance. I went, and the bodies that showed up were incredibly fit, unbelievable. And I was 69 at the time, and I made a vow to myself that by 70, I would be fit. Now, my bodies may not look like theirs, but I was determined that I would be fit by age 70.
Oh.
And hence 70 forever.
Oh, that explains that. And that's the sort of the graphic over your right shoulder is the logo of your community building concept. I can see already in the chat, this is resonating with so many of us. Well,
Yes.
because I wanted you to tell stories and you're doing that beautifully, what major changes did you have to make in your sort of fitness or wellness routine, please?
Well, as serious as I thought I wasn't. And I had to learn, first of all, to understand that the body is a whole, meaning that body, soul, and spirit are all components of the whole body. And that I had to understand that one does not work without the other. So, if I'm not eating right, but I am doing my exercise and I am meditating and doing my spiritual work, I'm not going to reach my optimal health level, because I have not synchronized my body, soul, and spirit to work in alignment to produce that ultimate health for me. So that was the main thing I had to learn. I also, in learning that, did change my diet. I became vegan, which meant not eating any meat. I was never really interested in meat anyway when I was vegetarian, but I did eat fish, but now I don't do that either. So I had to change my diet. And in weight training, you are responsible for prepping your food. So you must prep your food, which was a new uh, encounter for me, as well as weigh it and be accountable for the calories on a daily basis. So that was new. I also had to increase my exercise program in and of itself. Jogging every day was fine. However, I had to diversify my workout, if you will. So I did. I also, in addition to running, took on, well, I signed up for a triathlon, which enhanced my exercise program significantly. So in addition to the weight training, I took on biking, swimming, and running. And in addition to that, I also took on Pilates, which is wonderful, really stretches the body and in all the genres that you're working at the same time. And also in terms of balancing my spirituality, I increased my meditation practice as well as yoga. So those are the main things. And I think in addition to all of that, I think the most important thing is one's attitude. So I really had to change my attitude. Not that I had a poor attitude or a negative attitude, because I really do like exercising. I really like being conscious about my health. And I, the attitude part was that I was not committed enough. You know how you might be committed just a little bit, long enough for you to honor your New Year's resolutions for a month. And then after that month, it goes away. Sort of like that. So I had to really have a conversation with myself to find out what is it that I really want to accomplish. And not only that, why do I want to accomplish it? And commit to doing it. And they say that attitude is everything. That's what my trainer always tells me. And it is. Attitude is everything. Attitude leads to commitment, and commitment leads to success.
Wow, you are dropping so many pearls of wisdom, and you can tell that the chat box is going afire because it's what you're saying is really resonating with everyone. I think, though, that I have to ask the question that somebody has asked already in the chat. You are glowing, Denise. What is the secret of your skincare? Please let us know.
Well, thank you. My secret is my mother. My mother, God bless her soul, she passed on a few years ago, but she had always beautiful skin and basically just did basic things like washing her face with 100% natural soap, nothing with additives or anything, and then putting on a moisturizer. And it was just very basic. And so I followed her steps. That's what I do. I just wash my face with an all natural soap, and I put on an all natural, organic, both organic moisturizer, and and give thanks to God.
Well, I
So
think
that's
it's beautiful what somebody said in the chat, which is both inside work and outside work, right? You have to
yeah.
have purpose. Well, may I take a moment because I had asked you to kindly share some photos because a photo is also worth 1,000 words. And what you have shared with me, I'd like to share with our community because what is so amazing is there's a story behind each of these photos. So we'll show a few right now. What is the beauty of this one, Denise?
Well, this picture is me in my wedding dress 40 years ago. And so I always ask my friends, well, who do you know that's 72 years old and that can still wear their wedding dress? And I raise my hand, me. But 40 years ago, I was in that dress, walking down the aisle, getting ready to marry my beautiful husband. And my mother and I had a conversation about this dress. And because at that time I was talking to her about, what I was trying to do in terms of exercising and improving myself and getting better at what I was doing. And I said, so I'm setting one of my goals, Mom, is to get back into my wedding dress because I was nowhere fitting it when when I was 50 plus pounds overweight. And she said to me, oh, without a flinch, you'll do it. And I just loved her confidence in me, which instills confidence in myself. And I took that to heart. And so I can wear my wedding dress at 72.
Ah, Mama knows best. We know that communities. Now, this next photo is just amazing. 70 forever, but in between is how many decades? Give us a little bit of the stories behind these two beautiful photos, please.
Well, the photo on my left, uh, the black and white photo, is me in my earlier years. Um, and the photo on my right is me a couple of years ago after having gone through my program. I guess I'll call it the 70 Forever program. But after, as I said, committing to really wanting to be healthy and developing a plan on how I was going to get there, that's my transformation picture at age 70.
Just beautiful, so inspiring. And you very kindly showed us the evolution. Talk to us because we can see it visually, but what did it take to go from that first picture to the one in the center?
Well, a lot of people helped me just keep moving forward, one of which was my trainer, Diane Brown. And as I said, she never trained me as if I were 70, 69, 70, 72 years old. She always, because she does train younger women. She trains at all levels, but she also trains younger women. And so I really appreciated her not downplaying me and trusting in my ability that I could do the work. And the work it was very challenging in terms of what she had us do, different sets for the upper body, different sets for the lower body. So, as I said, exercise was key. Um, a lot of people think that you have to reduce what you eat when you're trying to lose weight. And actually, it's the opposite. My trainer taught me that I wasn't eating enough and that I needed to increase my eating. So it's not, how much you eat, so to speak. It's really what you're eating in terms of the quality of food. And so, as I said, I changed my diet from vegetarian to vegan. And also, I incorporate 100% organic foods now on almost everything I eat. And I'm very, very, very cognizant about what I eat and what's in it. If it has more than three, if I'm buying something that, I don't have, time to cook or I'm just wanting something quick, I will look at the ingredients. And if it has more than three ingredients listed, I will not buy it. And it has to be organic.
Brilliant. I'm going to learn that. That's very important.
Mhm.
Nothing out of a box.
Yeah, processed food is something that really puts weight on us. And I don't think most of us realize how much, how many additives are in any given food.
Before I go to Trudy to help us with some of the wonderful questions that have appeared, just a quick question. What does a vegan diet mean, please?
A vegan diet is a plant-based diet. And for me, I eat all plants, whether it be grains, all kinds of vegetables, any kind of vegetable that you would want to eat, fruit. That's my main diet. If I eat bread, it's going to be like a flourless bread, like Ezekiel bread. I'm not much of a bread eater, but occasionally I will have, some toast for breakfast or something. But basically, for me, my vegan diet consists of whole grains, vegetables, fruit, and as I said, if I eat bread, it will be a flourless bread, such as Ezekiel bread. But that's my main diet, if you will.
Thank you. That was very helpful. Why don't you and I, because you've taught me that it's important to hydrate while Trudy's giving us some of the questions. Let's hydrate. Everybody, if you have.
That's a good idea.
Denise, one question is, how important is accountability in your fitness program?
It's very important. I'm glad that you brought up
Mm.
hydrating too, because that is key when you take on exercise. It's important that you drink more water, preferably spring water, than you have ever in your life. But now repeat your question, Trudy.
How important is accountability in your fitness program?
Accountability is everything. It's right up there with attitude and commitment. As I said, my trainer held us accountable. We had to cook fresh food for our meals every day. We had to weigh our food. We had to report to her every weekend, every Saturday. She says, "Okay, I want your picture." So my husband became my photographer because he had to take my picture every weekend. So, we had to take our picture, we had to weigh ourselves and take a picture of the poundage on the scale and send that to my trainer. And so she would look at it and see what she would see, knowing what she knows. She would either change my diet in some way, kind of tweak it if it needed to be, or tell me, I'm doing well. And the goal was to lose 1 pound a week, 1 to 2 pounds a week, but not more than that. I don't think that it's wise to lose a whole bunch of weight rapidly. I do think that that can cause some serious issues. So when, if you're thinking about, you know, doing anything to lose weight, make sure, that you meet with your physician and talk over a plan that's going to work for you.
And how do you incorporate protein into your diet?
Yeah, that was one of the other things that I changed as a result of increasing my diversifying my workout plan. I um I I not only increase my protein, I take protein powder twice a day, organic, and I also take more vitamins and minerals. And I actually had a lab test done that reported what minerals, what vitamins and minerals I was actually deficient in. And I think if you don't know, it's worth doing that uh, to find out what is your body, what nutrients in your body is lacking, and then build on that.
I'll come back to some of the additional questions later on, but one of the questions had to do with Ezekiel bread. I know I'm familiar with Ezekiel bread. I have found it in the freezer section of both, I'm pretty sure both Whole Foods and Trader Joe's. Do you have any other resources for Ezekiel bread?
You're correct. I do buy mine at both of those places. Um, Actually, Giant sells Ezekiel bread too. But you have to look in the freezer section because that's mostly where it's kept, except for whole, no, Trader Joe's puts it on the shelf for whatever reason.
Okay.
But yeah, those are the places where you can get Ezekiel bread, and they have many different flavors. They have raisin, cinnamon, and um, multigrain. All kinds of wonderful sesame seed, sunflower. I mean, just all kinds of wonderful, enticing flavors if you're really a bread lover.
Okay. I do see some of your other questions, but let's continue with the program and I'll get back to the questions later on.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Trudy. You're always such a wonderful volunteer colleague and helping out on these virtual events. It's been such a wonderful learning experience to see how you do it so beautifully. And this is why we've come together. Some of you have said in the chat you've arrived late. This is the kickoff of the series called Tuesday Explorers. And today's the very first one for 2023. And we're just delighted to have Denise King-Miller with us today. And it's not about giving out health advice. It's more about hearing her own health and wellness journey. And thank you so much for those of you who are saying in the chat that what Denise is sharing is resonating with you. Denise, I think because you had said that you've been a minister, actually went for a graduate degree, you are in essence ministering to three aspects of yourself. Could you talk a little bit more about that transformation in what you called synchronizing the three elements of your being?
Oh, yes. As I had to learn that God made us whole, meaning body, mind, and spirit, and to understand that no one part operates without the other. In other words, they each complement one another. And as far as the body, the body is the physical part, how we exercise, what we do with our bodies, how we maintain our bodies, and even in terms of what you put on your body. A lot of people don't realize that if you put on a lotion that has a lot of additives in it, that lotion is going to go into your body as opposed to using a natural organic oil that feeds your body in terms of the nourishment that it needs for dryness, for example. So the body is the physical. The mind is the consciousness, what we have in our mind. And consciousness is thought. Thought is energy. And energy follows your thought. So it's really important to realize that what you put out in the universe is more likely to come to fruition. So be mindful. If for those of you who haven't kept your New Year's resolution, well, first of all, ask yourself why, because that's an important question. But also think about being conscious with your New Year resolution. Put it in the universe, commit to it, say it out loud. This is what I am going to accomplish. So that's the mind. And then lastly is the spirit. And that's our communication with God or your higher source, however you choose to define. And it's the way that I balance my spirituality through, like I said, meditation. You don't have to meditate for an hour or 2 hours. I meditate every day for at least 20 minutes. That's the first thing I do when I get up in the morning. And then I practice my yoga twice a week and more if I can, but usually my schedule will allow me to practice it twice a week. So mind, body, spirit, they all work together. They complement each other. And as they work together, they synchronize to bring us optimum health.
Oh, that is just wonderful. I'm really taking that to heart because I do want to have at least not a total body transformation in 2023, but something. Now, you had taught me an acronym when we were talking about all this. Would you like to share that acronym? It's the S and, the 5 letters.
Yes, that's my trainer says you need a plan, which you do. So you need a SMART plan. So she says the word SMART, S-M-A-R-T, and each letter stands for something. So the S stands for specific. Your plan has to be specific. The M, your plan should be measurable. How do you measure what you're doing? The A is achievable. Your plan should be achievable. Sometimes we get really unrealistic about our goals. So make it achievable, make it realistic for you. And then R, you want your plan to be relevant, realistic. And T is for time, time bound. Sometimes we make these plans and we say, I'll just go with it. And whenever I lose this weight, it's okay. No, it has to be time bound. For example, one of my New Year's resolutions, by the way, was to sign up again for the triathlon. And so on January 3rd, I signed up. And, we have trainers and they do hold us accountable to, we have to be on site to train at 6 o'clock in the morning, 3 days a week. And so in terms of the triathlon, it's a 16-week training. It's time bound. So I know that at the beginning of 16 weeks where I am, and at the end of 16 weeks, I better be ready to participate in that triathlon. And having that time frame helps me accomplish my goal.
Excellent. SMART, have a smart plan. May I now just really get real, sisters?
Yeah,
I'm a Chinese.
absolutely.
You're an African-American woman. Are there any things that you look to in our own communities or that you said helped you on this journey? Because sometimes representation is so key for our communities. I think you're going to be a very key role, right?
I hope so. I hope the community will embrace 70 forever and make it its own. I think there's a lot of opportunities, not enough, But I do think that there's a lot of opportunities that are offered for people of color. Um, it's a shame that we have to look for them so hard, but they do exist. Is that the kind of question you're asking me?
Yes, that is very good. Thank you. Because I think what we see, we can try to emulate or try to have accountability. Thank you. That was perfect. What about the low points, though? I will be honest, I fell off the boat because I ate 3 chocolate biscottis last night. So I knew I was going to do this event with you. Did you ever hit a low point, and how did you overcome that, please?
Oh, Lily, that's funny. That sounds like nervous eating. I've been nervous and had some anxiety around today. However, I try to eat healthily, like eat a apple or a pear. However, I'm not always on the mark. Um, I have my low points too. Everybody does. For example, I was the queen of fried dill potato chips, particularly in my menopausal years. I was eating a bag a day. So, they're off my chart now. I mean, they're no good. Nothing in them for me would be good. However, every now and again, I get this craving for the fried dill pickled potato chips. So I will buy a small little bag. Those little bags that they used to be a quarter, but now they're not $1.99. So that deters me as well. But I will buy a bag every now and once in a blue moon, and I will take out 3 chips. I will eat those 3 chips and the rest of the bag, and there's not very many in there, but I trash them. And I make sure that they're trashed. I take them out to the garbage bin and personally put them in the trash can. So yeah, there's low times, and we all have them. The other thing about, having low times is, as my trainer would always say, quitting is not an option. And I take that to heart. I think that we have to understand that there's going to be times where we just don't feel like going and doing our exercise, or we don't feel like staying on diet, so to speak. And you're just going to have those days. And I think we have to understand that that's part of the journey, and to acknowledge it, accept it, and to make wise choices. Don't go out and buy fried dill potato chips. But I mean, even if, for example, you really like chocolate, well, you buy one piece of chocolate, one really, really good piece of chocolate, dark chocolate, and enjoy it and don't feel any guilt behind it. And then I also use a method of diverting myself on days that I just don't have it. And I acknowledge it. Now, I will go train. And after I train, I will come back and do things like I dabble in art. I'm not an artist, but I dabble in art, or I might watch a movie or go shopping. There's a number of things. Whatever you like to do, you do that. And maybe for that day, maybe for a couple of days. And then you refocus your attention and go back to your task. And usually that takes care of it.
Thank you, sister, for keeping it real. Once again, we should hydrate. And while we're doing that, let me share the screen, because visually, what you have taught us in your words and your beautiful storytelling can also be seen when you see what you actually accomplished. And after we look at these photos and hear a little bit of the stories, I know that many questions continue to come in. So I will ask Trudy to help us. What is the story behind this transformed woman?
Well, that picture is a result of my weight training. I said that I would be fit by 70, and I indeed was fit by 70. And I won first place in what is called, it's an annual event, the Body in Motion contest. And it's a contest that measures, if you will, the transformation of one's body. And the one who has the best transformation is the one who wins the prize. So
Mhm.
I really worked hard. I had all the support from all my loved ones, and I enjoyed it. I really do. I really do love exercising. So that's probably people say, that's not my favorite thing, but I do enjoy it once I get in it. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Hard work, but a lot of fun.
Well, the journey was when, before you turned 70, you made a commitment to be more fit. And within the 2 years, and now at age 72, you have this vision. And that's why we wanted to invite you, is because this concept of building a community, the 70 Forever community, it is possible if we have the SMART SMART plan. Tell us a little bit more about this, you triathlete.
Well, my good friend Patricia Johnson had we work out together, and so she had this big idea that we should try we should sign up for a triathlon. And I looked at her like she was out of her mind because this is something that I had never even thought about doing. However, I'm always open to new ideas. I love learning, continuing to learn every day. And as I thought about it, I said, okay, well, why not? Let's give it a try. So she and I trained together for this triathlon. This was in 2019, 2020. We actually did the triathlon. So it was a real experience. The thing I can say is in training, I was of the mindset that I wasn't trying to beat anybody. I mean, I was in it. I wasn't in it to win it. I was in it to finish it. That was my goal. That makes a big difference. But this too was a lot of fun. We were in Virginia. That's where Lake Anna is where the actual triathlon took place. And we drove up the night before and, started off the triathlon with swim and then biking. And then the last phase was running. And it was so funny because, kind of when you're swimming or biking, you're not that close to each other. However, when you're running, you're like a herd running. And I can remember because you have to write the age of your age on your leg for some reason. I don't know, some part of the triathlon rules and regulations that they need, I guess, in case something happens, I guess. But anyway, in big black letters, I had actually I was 71. So I put, my age 71 on my leg. And it was so funny because when people would come up to me who looked like they were maybe 20 or 30, they would look at my leg and they were like, whoa, and they would speed up. It was just hilarious. I got a kick out of that. So it was a lot of fun and it helped me stay in shape and complemented my weight training.
Love it. And especially that arm and the hand on the hip. That is dude. So true. We must have a lot of other things that have resonated. Any more questions?
I do have one, and that was someone was requesting the specific name of the triathlon that you participate in.
Oh, wow. I'd have to look that up.
Oh, I put you on the
I
spot.
don't
Sorry.
I
Okay.
don't have that in front of me, but I trained through the YMCA for the triathlon. And the YMCA offers a fantastic training program for the triathlon if anybody is interested. It's reasonable, cost-wise. And like I said, they have 2 to 3 coaches for every genre, for swimming, for biking, and for running. And they do train you.
Okay.
So you can go online at
Just
whatever the
to your
YMCA.
local YMCA. Sure.
Well, the one that I use is the one in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
So I would go to that one because they are the one that offers this particular program. I'm not sure all of them do, but the YMCA on W Street, Northwest, Washington, D.C. Look up that website and you will get that information in terms of where in Virginia. All I know is Lake Anna. Now,
Okay.
what part of Virginia that's in, I can't tell you.
Okay, it's Mineral, Virginia area, or Louisa County, I think.
I think it is Louisa County.
I think it is
Yes.
Louisa County. Okay.
I'd have to ask my son-in-law. He's from there, so he's from around that area. He could tell me like in no time, but I
Okay.
don't know that area well.
Yeah. We were talking just prior to this set of slide screens about low points. And we've had a question that relates to mental health related issues or even depression, which my first recommendation would always be feelings and symptoms of that type. You should always start with your own personal physician to work those, but they're wondering whether you have any ideas or suggestions as to how to dig out of some of those low points. Number one, after talking with your personal physician, but how do we get out of some of those slumps? Some of these, the slump that we've been in for the past 3 years dealing with a pandemic and just,
Right.
not being able to or not comfortable leaving your house. And one or two suggestions as to how to dig out from the low points?
Oh, sure. It depends on how deep the slump is. And I concur with you that please consult your physician if you feel that you really are sinking down low. However, if you just are having one of those ho-hum days, like I said, I have days where I do not want to train. I really don't. I don't feel like it. I'm like, okay, I don't feel like training today. And another trainer of mine would say, okay, King-Miller, get your head right. And he would always say that. I was like, what is he talking about? Get your head right, which means, you know, get your thoughts, get your consciousness right. You know, you have to understand that what you put out there in terms of your consciousness is what comes to fruition. And transformation starts with your consciousness. And so if you're having a low down day, where you just are not feeling it, acknowledge it. I, you know, being in denial never helps anything. So acknowledge it and then decide what level you are in terms of a moderate or low, high, whatever level of um, despondent you are, and then seek help. Seek help. But I can't emphasize enough that attitude is everything. And you'd be surprised that oftentimes, like I said, I don't feel like training, but I do it anyway.
Yeah.
And when I do it, I always feel better as a result of actually doing the exercise. And there's been studies that tell us that exercise, releases, what is it? Something, can't call the name right
Endorphins.
now. Endorphins.
Endorphins.
And I feel that, I always feel higher energy and much better and much happier after I exercise.
Denise,
So
we've had a couple of questions with regard to the protein powders that you talked about first. And while we're not in a position to suggest or recommend specific brand names, what kinds of things would you put into choosing a protein powder for an individual?
for a protein powder,
Yes.
um,
What would go into,
yes.
without mentioning specific brand names?
Well, without mentioning specific brand names, I think one, it has to be organic, 100% organic. And when you look it up online or wherever you go, they will show you, they meaning the company, will show you what's in it. And there'll be a list of vitamins and minerals. Make sure that they are also organic, everything. Because sometimes companies will say that it's organic and part of it is and part of it isn't. So you want to make sure that it is truly 100% organic. And what they're listing, look up vitamin K. What does it do for me? Look up vitamin E. Look up vitamin D. Know what these vitamins and or minerals do are suggesting that they do for you, and make sure it's something that you want your body to have. It helps me a lot in terms of muscle building as a weight trainer, for one. But it also helps me with appetite. And I don't do it for that reason, but I notice as a result of taking my protein powder, which is twice a day. Usually I do it, in shakes, or, you know, sometimes I put it on my cereal, like oatmeal or something. But I noticed that in taking in the protein powder, my appetite decreases, which is not always good because you are to eat more as you exercise.
Sure.
But it does decrease. And so I find myself eating less. But also, what I notice is that it does um, take away my craving for sugar.
Oh.
And, as you might know, as anybody would know, that sugar is said not to be good for us. But I do know that it will put on pounds. And so by all means, stay away from sugar. But it does. It craves my sugar. I don't crave sweets. I'm not wanting pies and cookies or candy. Every now and again, yeah, but not so much.
Exactly. I do see that one of our guests has used the raised hand function, and unfortunately in Zoom webinar, we are not able to acknowledge raised hands for questions. So if that individual could put their question or their comment either in the Q&A box or the chat box, I'll do the best I can to accommodate that question or concern. And before I throw it back to you, Lily, the one question I have here is, what if you can't afford a trainer, a personal trainer? What are some other
Oh,
resources and recommendations that individuals might be able to use?
oh, that's a great question. There are a wealth of opportunities to work out in your home. And it doesn't require you to have, all this fancy equipment either. You can use podcasts. My daughter was sending me recently, I can't recall them off the top of my head, but she was sending me some podcasts that offered various kinds of exercises. And there's exercise for every genre. Weightlifting, for example, if you don't want to invest in weights, because they can be expensive, you can use whatever you have around the house. You can even use, cans of food. And, the thing about weight training and or any other exercise is form, that you have the proper form. And so I think that's why it's important that you have guidance from someone who knows what they're doing in terms of introducing you to an exercise. But you don't have to hire a personal trainer. You can go online uh, for little or nothing. A lot of them are free to get, help with any training aspect that you're interested in.
Exactly. Lily, I'll come back to you.
Thank you so much, Trudy. That was wonderful. We have already proven that there is community building when we have the gathering for Tuesday Explorers, thanks to AARP Virginia. And I think the main thing of why we wanted to invite Denise for the kickoff of this 2023 year is because it's just your personal story. You're telling us how one person had a wellness and health journey, and you're just sharing the wisdoms that you've gained for yourself. I would like to invite people to know that Denise's vision really inspired me, because I have always respected people who have an idea and then go and make it a reality. So let me share a little bit, because what Denise is going to do now is to try and take this concept, this community building concept of 70 forever, and give us an insight into where she'd like to take it in the future. Denise, tell us about how you sort of kicked this off among family and friends back in the summer of last year.
Oh, yes. One of my good friends, who I consider my consultant, Barbara Dix Brown, she's a professional researcher and professor, and she knows how to conduct control groups. And so her idea was, well, Denise, give me a list of all your friends, and I will randomly pick from that list because I know she does this work enough to know that I would probably be biased and try to invite everybody. So she chose 10 people from that list and invited them to my home where we had the first trial, if you will, pilot program, 70 Forever workshop. So that's how we got started. And it was amazing, the women who came, are all the women in picture that's shown there. And they had so many wonderful ideas. Our conversation was rich in terms of what we covered. One of the main concerns, for example, was many of the women there who take care of their parents and how that is a concern to, their aging parents is a concern to them in terms of how they would be able to accommodate that particular need. And the other one was about aging in and of itself, defining aging. And my main goal, as you know, for 70 Forever is to redefine aging. Because oftentimes the connotation now, or I guess it's been for a while, is that anyone over 50 is considered over the hill and or useless. In fact, I was talking to a friend yesterday at the Y, and she was telling me that recently her husband had had an operation and they were traveling, and so he happened to need a wheelchair. And she said the service, the people who provided the service really treated them badly. And she said she just felt invisible. And I think that's what many people who are experiencing, who are aging. And my message is that we just have so much to offer. We have so much wisdom to offer. We have knowledge to offer, to share. And we have life. We have life. And I really want people to know that it ain't over. And that I hope to encourage people to continue to live their life to their fullest and not to give up because someone says you're done.
That is just wonderful. I take that to heart. And especially the fact that you, as a woman of 72, is saying this is not over. So over this next couple of weeks, you're going to gather us in community again. So if anyone's interested in, number one, being in touch with you, we have some information about Denise's 70 Forever organization that she's wanting to build community with. And I know that we might not have gotten to all the questions, so there is a way to be in contact with Denise. Denise, just a few quick points about what you're hosting to build community in a couple of weeks on the 26th of January, please.
Yes, that's going to be our first virtual workshop. And you can go on to my website that's listed there to register. It's the privilege of aging, and it's more of what I just talked about to help women really understand their beauty and their worth and how they have so much to give, and also to be real about this thing called aging. What does it really mean? What are the stages? I talk about these 5 stages of aging, and so we'll go over that. But I think it's going to be very enlightening and enriching, not just because I'm offering it, but because of everyone who chooses to participate and what they have to bring to the workshop as well.
Thank you. Well, let me just take a moment to thank AARP Virginia for hosting us for this really dynamic and rich conversation. Like I said, I really needed something like this to kick off new me in this new year. So let me thank Denise King-Miller, our guest speaker, and give you a few seconds to give us some parting wisdoms, please.
Well, as I said, I hope the community of 70 Forever will embrace you all. I hope that you will take in the concept of agelessness. And what I mean by that is that one cannot be defined or confined by age, and that we all have something to offer. So I hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Let me turn it back to Trudy, and also to just give a plug for, don't forget the Tuesday Explorers meet every Tuesday between now and April while we're all cooped up in cold weather or rainy weather. And next month, especially Black History Month, there will be lots of wonderful programs about local history. Thank you again, Trudy, and for your wonderful contributions of your time and talents as a fellow AARP Virginia volunteer.
Thank you, Lily. And thank you for introducing us to Denise King-Miller. We do appreciate your time. We do have a survey. If you could take a moment, we'll put that survey in the chat box. If you could take just a moment to let us know your thoughts and your feelings about this particular program and about other programs that you'd like to see through AARP, you can do that through the survey that's showing up in the chat box now. Our other programs, including Tuesday Explorer, can be found at aarp.org/virtual VA. I'll take a breath and we'll put that in the chat box for you as well. So until next Tuesday, or whenever or wherever I see you all next, again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being part of AARP Virginia. Denise, thank you. Denise, you look like you had
Thank
one more
you.
thing you wanted to say.
I did. I just wanted to end by saying thank you, AARP, thank all of you, and thank the listeners for allowing me to share my story. Thank you.
It's been a great audience. They've answered some of the questions for you with their own information. For those questions that we didn't get to, perhaps just rewatching the recording of this event will answer those questions for you as well. And who knows, Denise, this might be so popular that we may need to invite you back.
Oh, I would be delighted.
Again, there will be a link in a follow-up email to a recording. The link for our survey will be in that follow-up recording as well. And Lily, do you want to have the last word?
Thank you. Thank AARP Virginia for being an innovative leader in bringing wonderful virtual programs to someone like me who is, as Denise had said, a cooped up caregiver for a loved one. I just want to wish everyone a happy, healthy new year in 2023. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Trudy. Thank you.
Happy New Year. Have a great afternoon. We'll see you at least next Tuesday. Thanks.
Happy New
Bye.
Year. Thank you. Bye-bye.